Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of prolific singer Betty Wright. Now, the thing about this is Betty Wright was, of course, very prolific and singer, and I mean, she had obviously illustrious career, which I'm going to talk about some things in her natal chart and some transits that might have played a role in as far as her passing goes. Now, first of all, I just want to offer my condolences to the family and close friends of Betty Wright. If they do happen to see this, by any minuscule or minute chance this does occur and they do see this video. And anyway, well, people, so, first thing I wanted to talk about, I want to say that sorry about that annoying noise I've been having in my videos. Lately, I've been getting some complaints on it. That was actually a very loud ceiling fan, and I have it down very low now, so that noise should be dissipated, and I've improvised with a stand-up plug-in fan right now, and it shouldn't be nearly as exasperating as or annoying as the previous fan goes. But anyway, that out of the way. Sorry, I went on a Gemini moon tangent. As far as Betty Wright's chart goes, and as far as natal placements and transits that could correlate with perhaps her death, that could be indicators of that. Well, the first thing I notice of, and she may have been she was either Sun in Sagittarius or Sun in Capricorn, depending on time of birth. I do believe her Sun was in Sagittarius. Mathematically, the percentages say that she would have a Sagittarius Sun unless she was born very late in that day, and that would put her at a Capricorn Sun. But anyway, the thing about it is I had to improvise, of course. Again, I could not find time of birth for this person, sadly, so I had to put the sun at the same spot as the ascendant. Now, it puts, based on the solar sunrise improvised chart, it puts the sun at 29 degrees Sagittarius. Remember, 29 degrees in astrology can be a critical degree, and you're talking about the sun. It can be connected with the physical body. Now, the ascendant is what dominates the appearance more. Generally speaking, I believe people will have more physical issues that are associated with their ascendant in contrast to their sun, but the sun can play a role in that. She may have had some issues. I mean, with the sun in Sagittarius and being that, and if that is the case, assuming that's the case, and if and being at the critical degree, you could be talking about issues with physically to some level, and that could have given some issues, perhaps with the liver or something with the thighs or sciatic nerve, something that could be Sagittarius related. And remember, the 29th degree is crisis related. Now, the reports say that she died of cancer, I saw on TMZ, but it didn't elaborate or expound specifically on what type of cancer this was. Now, at the time, she did have transit south node very close to her sun, and the thing about it is, when you're talking about the south node, if it's either separating from your sun, your natal chart, or even I would say if it's close to it, it means it's applying, but it's getting ready to separate. I see that as this is where the south node in astrology and transit could reflect what we're getting away from, and sadly in this case it could be getting away from life and vitality. The thing about it is, and a life that, I mean, you're talking about, if her sun was indeed in Sagittarius, a life that really, where she had expressed a lot of exuberant, expansive, and enthusiastic and positive energy. My Cancer, I'm talking about my zodiac sign Cancer, sun sign Cancer intuition tells me that she likely did have a Sagittarius sun as opposed to a Capricorn sun. And again, of course, the time is unknown with her. And TMZ, the report just said that she had died of cancer, but it didn't expound on what kind of cancer this was. Now, there were some things in her chart. She did have another indicator of ending in life and a death She also had transit Pluto not far from her natal North Node in Capricorn. So, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, Pluto can be things that are deadly, that can be perilous, and you're hitting the North Node, and it's also, of course, the planet of death. This sadly, it is almost like when some people have transit Pluto hitting the North Node. Remember, the North Node can be about issues we have to confront, and in this case, with her, it could have been manifested in confronting death, sadly, in this case. And you're talking also about being in Capricorn. Could she have had maybe bone or skin cancer? It could be possible, since we are talking about the zodiac sign Capricorn. That is a possibility as far as the specifics to the kind of cancer that she may have had. Now, another thing too is, while she had the South Node coming very close proximity to her natal sun, and I described how that could manifest earlier in the video. She also had transit North Node on very close to the 7th house cusp, not far from the 6th house. And when you have the North Node if it's either in the 6th house, or it could be approaching it, these can be about issues that one may have to confront regarding health-related matters. So I'm wondering if she may have had some issues, being in North Node, being transit North Node in Gemini. Could have just been some issues, health-related matters that might have been tied in with the lungs, with breathing, something with the arms, the hands, the shoulders, perhaps, that may have been going on. Could have there been lung cancer? That could be another possibility, I'm thinking, as far as a cancer goes. And I'm also thinking, as rare as it could be for women, it could be a prostate cancer maybe she succumbed to, because she had in the solar sunrise chart, which of course was improvised, because I don't know, again, not to be redundant, but I didn't know her time of birth. She had in her solar sunrise chart Pluto in the 8th house, and Pluto, of course, could be connected with the prostate or the colon. I don't think she died of anything virus related, because it didn't say that in the report. It just stated that she died of cancer on TMZ.com. Now, another thing I noticed in her chart too, she also had Neptune conjunct her natal Mars. Now, I don't believe Mars really plays any role, really, if any, even if it's minuscule at best, it could, but really much role in a physical appearance. But Mars still can be connected with physical issues with the body. And you have Neptune that is on conjunct the Mars. There could be physical related matters connected with the disease. She did have cancer. Neptune is in Libra in her chart, and Libra, of course, could be connected with the kidneys. So could have there been something with that as well. And then Mars being in Scorpio, of course, Mars could be associated with the colon and prostate. Prostate, I would say, was likely not the case with her, because prostate is more predominant, of course, in men. Prostate cancer, in contrast to women. Women can have it technically, but very rarely. So those are some things that I did notice in her chart. Also, she had the transit Pluto was also close to her natal Chiron as well. And remember that Chiron is not just about emotional suffering. It could be about physical wounds, physical suffering in some cases. And when you have transit Pluto close to your natal Chiron, these can be about issues that could be with physical suffering that may be connected with one's death, sadly, in some cases. And I noticed in her chart as well, she also had the ruler of the 6th house in the solar sunrise chart, ruler of the 6th house, placed in the 12th house, and conversely, she had the ruler of the 12th house. She had in her 6th house. So when you're talking, if I'm not mistaken, she did have it actually. The ruler of the 12th house was in her 6th house, and these can be indicators of health limitations, because you're talking about the 6th house is associated with health. 12th house is connected with restrictions and limitations. She had Jupiter in Gemini retrograde, making what some may see as a long opposition to her Sun in Sagittarius, and these can bring some issues. I mean, Jupiter in Gemini can expand Gemini-related issues, such as matters, again, going with the shoulders, the lungs, the arms, the hands. And when you have that of making an adverse aspect to your natal Sun, sometimes this can give some issues with that, or even some Jupiterian-related, health-related issues, given, and which of course could be connected, with the liver, as an example. Can be some issues with that, so because Jupiter does govern the liver. So the thing is, and also having likely the Sun in Sagittarius again at that, which would, if she had her Sun in Sagittarius, would be at 29 degrees, and you're talking about possible physical related issues given at the 29th degree, and the Sun can be associated with issues of a physical nature, even though, as I stated before, the ascendant, which is unknown in her case, is the dominant factor in terms of physical related issues. So anyway, people, there's really not much more I wanted to say as far as this goes. Now, she also at the time had transit Chiron, was not far from the 4th house, the solar sunrise 4th house cusp in her chart, and sometimes this could manifest in some wounds, physical suffering associated with that end or latter part of one's life. So it's really that's pretty much what I wanted to get at as far as her and transits and natal placements that may have been tied in to matters pertaining to her death. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.